Valley Air District, this is your Healthy Air Living Report. The valley's bowl-like shape and weather do help create the perfect conditions to breed high levels of smog. But the emissions we create are the main ingredient of this type of air pollution. What you do on a daily basis does make a difference. So help us reduce harmful emissions by living a healthy air life and thinking about where you can reduce your pollution-producing activities. We must leave no stone unturned when searching for ways to clean our valley's air and protect public health. For a list of ideas on how you can help, visit healthyairliving.com. That's healthyairliving.com. This has been your Healthy Air Living Report from the Valley Air District.
This program does not reflect the views of KXVS management or KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
My name is Miriam, and I am the voice of Stockton.
Welcome to Word of Mouth with your host, Jasmine Leek. Here's Jasmine.
Hey, everybody. Oh, we're really loud tonight. All right, we're just loving the music, having a good time here in the station tonight. I am so excited. Welcome. This is a kind of a special episode. We were supposed to have our show last week, but then I was sick, and anyway, so we're here this week, and we'll be back next week, actually, too. So I'm excited. I have some amazing guests for you to learn about, and we're going to share all kinds of great information with you tonight. I just want to remind you that all of our episodes from weeks past are available for you to download on YouTube, or you can check our Facebook page. We have them all cataloged for you to check out. So this is our 5th episode, I believe. 6th episode, and I have 3 great guests here. The chapter director of the Stockton Young Women's Task Force, Zuleima, Flores, Abid, and the Eleanor Project founders, Kristen, Spracher, Birtwhistle, and Stacey Jackson are here to share a little bit more about themselves and the amazing work that they're doing through their different organizations. So we're gonna just jump right into it. I definitely want to encourage you before we get started that if you do have any story ideas, the purpose of our show is really to kind of highlight the people and the organizations and things that are happening in Stockton that don't really get as much press or need to be highlighted and need to be talked about. So if you have story ideas, please send them my way. You can email me directly at wordofmouth@thirdcity.co. And Dustin and I check all of the Facebook comments, so feel free to leave a comment in the on the Facebook page as well. We're happy to listen to your feedback and get some new ideas, meet new people we don't already know. So just want to introduce my guests to you. If each of you can tell the audience about yourselves, what you love, what your passion is, like why you're doing this work, and we'll start with you, Kristen.
Well, thanks, Jasmine, very much, and KXVS for having all of us here today. Again, I applaud Word of Mouth because I think this is really an amazing venue for local folks like myself to get the word out loudly about what we're trying to do to better the community. So as you mentioned, my name's Kristen Spracher Birtwhistle. I've been here for 4 generations now, and have a love and a passion for our community, for Stockton. And we started, along with some of the other guests you'll meet here shortly, a program called the Eleanor Project about 2 years ago. And again, it was a passion of mine that we do a lot more around bringing women together, specifically young women, and what I like to refer to as established versus old or mature, and in ways that we can both benefit and sort of grace the lessons from each generation to support each other. So what has happened over the course of the last 2 years is a variety of programs and services that really bring women together, encourage networking, but also celebrates the accomplishments of women here in Stockton, which we have a lot of celebration to do.
Yeah.
So the Eleanor Project was a spark, and we've it's a member-based organization now. We have over 60 members. We have a target of over 200, and of course at some point, gosh, couldn't it be great if we could nationally scale something like this from our community? So, and I have more to add here, so through the program, but
Cool.
that kind of gives you a sort of a snapshot of what we're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Zuli, go next.
I was trying to
You always try to-
Stacey on there. I always try to go last. All right. Well, thank you, Jasmine, for having us on here. We definitely appreciate your support of having this as an outlet for a lot of different people. I know you've had different people ranging into these spaces. So thank you for your work here in the community. And as well, Kristen and Stacey. I know Stacey's going to be as well doing a little karaoke later on today. On behalf of the TEP Talk, we're going to get people prepared for the TEP Talk, right, Kristen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are.
But before we get there, that's going to be probably towards the end, so y'all need to wait until we get to that point, all right? My name is Zuleima Flores Abid. I, was born in Modesto, California, but came here when I was like 5 years old. I know that right now I'm not going to share my whole childhood with you all, but I do very much appreciate the community here. It's built me to be the person that I am today, and it's been due to a lot of different mentors, femtors as well. So instead of, mentor, femtor, we also have both men and women that help guide us to where we're at today. And so when I graduated from college, I decided that I wanted to come back to Stockton and give back to the people that had, helped me grow, and as well provide an outlet similar to how Jasmine, is doing today, to have young women come together around issues that matter to us, or maybe that we're not even aware about. Sometimes there's a disconnection between not just ages, but as well as communities, maybe due to economic realities that we face. Not always do we have access to resources. So I think that's where the Stockton Young Women's Task Force, that idea sprung from. And it's not just one person, it's a group of young women that are helping move this conversation forward. And during our work, it was almost 2 years ago, around the same time as the Eleanor Project.
I know.
And, we've been very blessed to be able to find a way to collaborate with the Eleanor Project, and bringing women together into those spaces, because I feel like, we as well can't really move forward if we don't know about the history that has happened here in Stockton. And so I just want to, thank you all for allowing us to be here. And I look forward to today. I look forward to Stacey singing towards the end. She's going to be singing some blues, like some soul music.
I promise our listeners I will not sing.
And there's going to be some shout outs towards the end, but that's going to be towards the end.
This is interesting. Before we go, Stacey, I wanted to mention, it's this timely conception between the startup of the Stockton Young Women's Task Force and the Eleanor Project. They happened sort of in at the same time in different ways, and how we kind of bridge together, I think, is a really good working example of the potential of women in the community, and men, like you said, Z, that to really be a force, to be, whether socially or economically. So timing and luck is everything. So we're very fortunate we met you.
I feel like it was the univer's kind of making us meet.
The stars.
It was. Yeah, I believe that. But before I get into that talk, I know we're going to get Stacey. We're leaving the best for last.
No. I'm Stacey Jackson, and there is a movement afoot here in this community. There's no doubt about it. And it's the young and young at heart, and it feels very much like there's something else, some leadership that's occurring in our youth that I haven't seen before. I feel, Mayor Tubbs, you, Z, you, Jasmine, the list goes on of all the young people who are really taking responsibility for change, seeing things that need to be done. And when Chris and I were thinking about the Eleanor Project and what that looked like, we wanted it to be authentic. We wanted it to be grassroots. We wanted it to be something that really that celebrated what women in this community were doing, and something more than old school networking, where you'd go to a luncheon and you'd throw out a business card and you'd say, let's do lunch, and maybe someone would call and maybe they wouldn't. What we were looking for is something authentic, where mentorship occurred on a one-on-one basis, and something real was exchanged, so that it improved the lives of the women around us, supported them, encouraged them in a way that was palatable. So I think that that's occurring at so many levels now.
Yeah. I think the thing that I love the most is, there's been this history of women kind of taking it upon themselves to better themselves, better the community. And that's not a new thing. I mean, obviously, if you look at the history of like the Philomathian Club, and some of the other, like Bev McCarthy's organization, the Commission on the Status of Women. So there's always been this kind of push by women. But yeah, I think sometimes when you're like, I know for us, when we first started talking about starting the chapter of Stockton Young Women's Task Force, it is a affiliate of the American Association of University Women, and so yeah, we were looking at like, how do we bring this kind of nationally recognized brand to Stockton, because it is an interesting thing when you, like you were talking about earlier about grassroots, like having it feel authentic and be grassroots versus but still maintain that like professionalism and really understanding how to reach people. And so like the Young Women's Task Force, is this nationally known organization. And so it's been exciting to kind of watch the growth of both of those organizations, for me especially. But I want to get a little bit deeper into how the project came about for you, and Zuli, a little bit about your story also. So if you guys could share about those things.
Well, I guess I can start and Stacey chime in, but I think the conception in some ways of the Eleanor Project, for me personally, came out of a sense of frustration. Like Stacey had mentioned, women were used to maybe going and having lunch with 50 or 60 other women for an hour, and they were supposed to network and were supposed to build a genuine relationship out of that 1 hour, and that was just literally impossible. So the Eleanor Project was created knowing that model really wasn't working. It wasn't sustainable. That women were not, in fact, connecting. They might share a business card, and you might call somebody up for coffee and ask them to be a mentor or to share a resume or help open a door for you. But we weren't doing anything that developed our leaders. We weren't doing true mentorship. And the Eleanor Project was created because there was a frustration that there really wasn't anything in the community that built relationships. So we embarked, Stacey and myself and a cohort of other women and men sat around and sort of came up with this idea. And the Eleanor Project was born because Eleanor Roosevelt, who's the namesake of this program, was somebody, yes, and why she did have political aspirations. She was about recognizing women, celebrating their causes, and supporting their causes. And we thought, what better person than someone who's got that name recognition, Eleanor Roosevelt, to really sort of build on her vision. And so what became of that was several initial programs. One was a program called Dinner and Discussions, where we bring to sort of a home in a very comfortable area, 8 women, young women, and established, to get to know each other a little bit better, share a glass of wine, and learn more about each other, really talk about things. We wanted to know about their philanthropic interests. We wanted to know about what they did for play and what their passion was and what their profession was. So when you walked away from the table, I got to know Zuleima, I got to know Jasmine, and you walked out of the room feeling inspired. Whereas in the past, we really didn't have that opportunity. So we have a lot of programs. We're just sort of bubbled from there. Our TEP Talks, which we'll talk about later, the Know Me series, where we look at emerging leaders, young emerging leaders, and we get them out in the community and we show them off and we let them tell their stories, and they're always dynamic stories. And then we're just going to be building on other things. Stacey had mentioned women of our age need to know more about technology. We can learn from you, and we think that you can learn from us. So
Thank you for explaining Instagram.
yeah.
Was that you, Jasmine?
I tried earlier.
Catchy tweet.
I'm not that great at. So I mean, I think people think I'm better at social media than I am, but
You are.
I'm not. I feel like there's a lot that I still don't know. They add new things all the time, new features,
That's how
and
they get you to buy.
I'm like,
I know.
man, how do I like the going live thing? I'm still like trying to figure that whole thing out. I'm like,
No. Well, I didn't, we don't send out paper invitations anymore. I'm thinking, what? I need to put I have a stamp. I need an envelope. And it's the only way that we can connect with people. But I was wrong. We are wrong, Stacey. So I think the young women in this community can really help us. And we've got some amazing women leaders in Stockton now. President of the University of the Pacific, Delta College, a first DA ever voted into office. I mean, it's really phenomenal. And there's a sense and a feel of the young women in this community, the next leaders, current leaders, are really making a difference in Stockton. So we just want to be a part of it, and we want to elevate them as much as we can, but we also want to learn as well. So
yeah.
So that's sort of a
Cool.
snapshot of how it got started.
Yeah, I love the tribute to Eleanor Roosevelt. I think that's really cool, and I think a lot of people really resonate with that. You know, they know her story, and yeah, it's awesome. So anyway, okay, Zuli.
Great. Well, thank you, Kristen. And I do agree with you. Eleanor did have a big impact. A lot of people say that she actually, was the big person behind the scenes, helping as well to do a lot of the great work during that time. So I do agree with you, and I thank you as well for paying tribute to her. I believe it was last month, correct?
We celebrate her birthday every year, October 13th, and she was 132 years old as of this year. Yeah.
Exactly. But going off of what Kristen was saying, it did go off with the task force when we started. It happened in a time where it was getting fairly close to elections, actually. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were seeing as well first women running for president. And we also were seeing a lot of different candidates, and so I think we were preparing ourselves. So, and I think it was preparation for us. We knew that even though whatever happened at the end of the day, that November, that we were preparing the community to be able to, have the tools and the support to be able to make it pass through whatever happened. And so I think that's going into that type of mindset. I think, with the task force, we wanted it to be a space to support women, people from different backgrounds. Sometimes people believe that because it's a women's task force, they're like, oh, well, I can't be a part of it because I'm a man, or I am, transgender, or I am, I identify with something different. I don't see myself being part of the task force. And the task force is made up for anybody that, feels as well that passion, that need to help us with, all of these different conversations, issues, laws, policies that affect women. And when you talk about women, just look at your family. I mean, everybody has a sister, and they have a mother. Where did you come from? And so, that's why when people ask me, is a task force just for women? And I say, no, I welcome you to come to one of our events or one of our meetings. And we've actually had men come to our meetings. And I've also spoken to people that identify with different sexual orientations as well, that they're interested in coming and learning and being part of the movement. Because it's not just something where it's just the women, you know, within the movement. It's everybody. It's the whole community that takes part in it. And we're fighting as well because we see that there's as well still a lot of inequalities that are happening amongst women, even within women, across the different classes, across the different ethnicities, races. And so the task force is to fight for all of these different issues that we're noticing, and those difficult conversations that I had conversations with Jasmine as well, and you know, even with Kristen at some point, and we have to be able to support each other, because in order for us to be able to move things forward, we have to create those allyships and those collaborations, and sometimes they haven't been made before. Sometimes due to whatever is going on inside of us, I'm a big believer in that we hold as well certain things inside of us, not just from our current time, but from the past. And so we hold all of those traumas, we hold all of those things that happen to our families, and sometimes unconsciously those feelings come up. And I'm talking to, and I remember because when I went and I, you know, interned at, you know, in DC, I was feeling as a Mexican American woman that I had to prove myself. And I had to, you know, prove that I could take on the work, even though I was already at that level. But at that point, I felt like I didn't have the confidence. And I know that there's as well many women that feel that they have to prove themselves, like they have to work much harder than anybody else. And I think that that as well can have an effect on women feeling like they can't, you know, go for that next salary, you know, negotiation step, or that they shouldn't be in a certain position, or they shouldn't even be part of an organization because they feel like they're not part of it, or they wouldn't be able to identify with those women. So the task force allows for those conversations to happen, and we do that through the lean-in circles, which I know as well Kristen has allowed a space for that, and she brought in as well, along with her board, you know, bringing in all these women to talk about having those different topics of discussion, and the lean-in circles have been a major part of that, as well as the FemTour program, which go back to the FemTour, female plus tour, FemTour, and that program, it's right now it's piloted. We just finished it this past year, and it was just a series of workshops that including, you know, Mariah Looney, you know, she as well works with the Eleanor project. She did one on the vision board and social media presence. And so how do we give these tools to these, you know, young women, as well as we had different people from different backgrounds join us, and how do they take these tools and then implement them in their life? And how do we allow that space to happen? Because to tell you the truth, I think for me, I had access to those resources when I was in college. And for many of the young people here in Stockton, you just never know, you know, if you're going to make it to college, or if you'll even have access to be able to go. And so we want to make sure that those opportunities are here, that there's as well, you know, women that they can speak to in case they want to go into college or they want to go into a different career. Because not always do we need to go to college. It is a great foundation, but it's not the only way, quote unquote, when people say, oh, well, you know, to be successful, you need to go to college. I was like, you know, that's a great framework if you want to excel in certain areas, but what if you want to be a business owner? You know, what if you want to open up your cafe, or you want to be a journalist? What does that look like? What are those possibilities? So those are some of the things that we're working on with the task force, as well as providing an opportunity for women to learn about policy and legislation around the state, because there's things going on that I'm just surprised. I'm like, oh, geez, like, how do we not know about this? And so we want to provide that opportunity, as well as we're planning to go into 2018 being more locally as to what's really happening in the city, and how can we as well push for these initiatives that are already happening, or how can we team up with other organizations on issues that they're passionate about today, and we can, you know, both, or not just two organizations, but multiple organizations move those issues forward. So yeah, it's a little bit about that. I know that was
well, you know, and I wanted to mention, because Zuleima, you really, you know, hit the nail on the head when you're talking about changing policy and practice. And while our organizations are politically, I think, bipartisan, for example, we're both sponsors of the commission report on the status of women in Stockton, which has recently, again, been sponsored by the Mayor's Office and the San Joaquin Data Cooperative, to really get an understanding of where women are in terms of their social context, educational context, healthcare context. So if we're armed with that kind of information, think of what we can design and develop. We're not just sort of taking a buckshot approach to programming that helps young and older women and their families and men of all diverse populations, but it really gives us something to target on and really focus on. So I want to thank the task force.
It gives us data.
Absolutely.
To make an argument too. I mean, that's another thing, is you need the data to see what it is, to see if there's a deficiency, and if there is, it arms you with the ammunition that you need to fight for that equality. And Beverly has been
at the forefront.
Of all that. And one of the other things that you talked about, Zuli, was the mindfulness. I mean, we're trying to do really concrete things here, but there's an attitude, or not so much an attitude, but it's a frame of mind that women bring with them into, whether it's a work environment or a home environment, where they're working their tail off, and there's that feeling of inadequacy, where I mean, this is just a generalization, but where that same job, that same effort might be looked at by a male as something where they have no self-doubt, where women tend to be filled with the self-doubt, and they don't, how am I doing? I'm not good enough. I can't ask for that raise. I can't put myself out for that leadership role. And I think that's kind of one of the things that I'm excited about in this younger generation is it takes time to get there, but I'm really seeing it there. I mean, I equate everything to a sports metaphor, but I kind of feel like women in sports have enabled them to be more aggressive in the business world too. And to play well together as a team, to learn those skills. And I think that Title IX and the changes that brought about has helped not just women be more athletic, but to be better leaders down the road too. I mean, it taught skills. I think back to when we were in elementary school, and I remember having to petition to wear shorts under our skirts so that we could run on the playground without showing our underwears. So I remember that.
And we couldn't wear pants to school. We had to wear skirts.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think about just the little subtleties that inform our own sense of self. They're minor, but they add up. Just like you were saying, the little experiences that we have that teach us our place and how we need to push some of those things out of the way. I mean, Kristen and I had a father. He belonged to the country club, and there was a men's grill out there. Well, he would be darned if his girls were not going into the men's grill. And we walked into that place like we owned it. I mean, but that's how change occurs. Someone's got to
reject the norms
and break the barrier and just change the attitude. It was all about a change of attitude, because when we did that, nothing happened. It wasn't like the place crumbled to the ground. And I think that's what we need to learn. And I think that's one of the exciting things about young women today is they haven't had that things in their way like the generation before you and like the generation before us. So when Beverly, Fitch McCarthy says, remember where you came from, it's really important to remember where you came from, because there have been women that have been fighting really hard to wear pants. So
and they're still fighting. And a working
Right.
example, Beverly Fitch McCarthy, and December 5th, she'll be in front of the San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors. And why? Because the Commission on the Status of Women is one of the, in Stockton, in San Joaquin County, is a non-funded commission. We're the only city in the state of California that has a non-funded commission. And she has been doing this for over 40 years. So, I mean, if you can use her as an example of women that will continue to fight in some small ways for the greater good of the whole. The fight never stops. That's just it. She's been doing it for 40 years. Think how long it took women to get the right to vote. We still don't have an Equal Rights Amendment that has been passed by the state of California. We still have pay equity issues. And these are global issues. They're not just obviously local to Stockton, but, you know, Zuleima, as you're talking about, you have an organization that allows women to find their voice. And that's what we don't do enough. And we hope the Eleanor Project and Stockton Young Women's Task Force collectively will be able to allow us to do that, because we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things for me that it's like we aren't, at least for my position on the task force, is really focused on how do we give people the skills and resources that they need to be able to fight for the issues that affect young women that they care about. So it's not really us telling them what to think or how to think, but, you know, how do you make your voice heard in the most effective way? And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. I hope, yeah, there's a lot of development that needs to happen. We've had things, and again, it's not something that's just, you know, singular to the Stockton area. I follow a lot of groups out of like other cities that are working to advance women's issues and women's rights, and particularly around politics and like getting women into office. And one of the biggest things is like public speaking training. And Zulie's an amazing example of someone who has.
They slipped though.
Yeah, Zulie, aren't you the president of the Toastmasters?
The president.
The president of Toastmasters.
For anybody that wants to join.
So, yeah, no, it's important because unfortunately we live in a society that first impressions are everything, and if you can't make your point known quickly and in a professional way, people are just not going to listen to you. So, but there's always that opportunity to grow and do better and prove them all wrong.
Exactly.
The other thing I like that I'm so impressed by with the youth nowadays is it's not just the voice. It's not just standing up and speaking out. It's action. There are things that are happening in this community because young women say something needs to be done, let's go do it. And it's whether it's cleaning up a street or you know, renovating a home or just taking time to take care of, you know, homeless. There are people, young women now, who are engaged in ways beyond just a support group, beyond just let's speak out for the things that we believe in. There's some real action that's occurring here, and I love that. And I like the there's a big artist kind of movement that comes along with that too. There's more art now in Stockton and more music now in Stockton, and I don't know. I'm excited about the future of this community.
Yeah, well, Mariah Looney's Force in Females art show, that was like super awesome. Just women artists being highlighted and featured. I thought that was really great. Mariah, if you're listening, we need to do that again. Round 2 of Force in Females. She's like, stop, it's so much work. It's a lot of work to coordinate events and things like that. So speaking of events, the Eleanor Project has an event coming up in just a couple of days, right? Tell our audience about that. What's going on?
All right. Well, we are actually, Stacey and myself and the advisors who serve Jasmine and Zoo, who are our advisors for the Eleanor Project. The next one is going to be on November 28th at Stockton Civic Theater on Rosemary Lane. And its focus is on changers. And changers is we mean by trailblazing women in their 70s and their 80s, quite frankly, who are have done decades worth of work that have really made a significant difference in the community. Let me just kind of give you a few examples. Osaleta Briggs is a nurse from San Joaquin County Hospital, served there for many, many years. She was the first African-American nurse hired, again, by the county, passed over for numerous advancements because of her color. And she's got a story to share. And then you have Virginia Gorman from the South Stockton, who created the STAND program, was a huge advocate for that in reducing crime in her community. Reduced crime rate by 80% within a very short window of time by the community collaboration she created with the Stockton Police Department. She's an amazing woman. You have Phyllis Groupie, who on the other end of the spectrum certainly has been philanthropic with her time, with her money, creating community partnership organizations, and has been very involved with Stockton A+. And then you have Judith Chambers, who's the very first woman vice president for University of Pacific, and the very first woman who was allowed into Rotary in Stockton. That was a big deal back then. It was a big deal. So we've got these great trailblazing women that have stories that just need to be told. And we want to capture those stories and share them. And then we have, because we are engaging men to the program, we have our own Mayor Tubbs that will be there presenting, and Rick Paulson from New York Life, #1 New York Life agent, who is masterful at speaking about victory every day and his path to success. So it's going to be a really exciting evening, and we'll have artisans there, so to your point, bringing art into it. And then our speakers actually had their photographs taken by a local photographer, a young woman named Ali Montez, who did a phenomenal job really creating these images of these women that will last a lifetime and into the next generation. We'll be filming all this, and we hope to eventually take their stories into the San Joaquin County schools, so they'll live there and sort of be recognized for their work.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds really
we're excited.
exciting.
I don't know, Stacey, if you have anything to add to that, or
No, I'm excited for Tuesday too. Yeah, just not just celebrating their achievements, but it's documenting them too.
And so it's going to be on Tuesday night. It starts at 6 o'clock.
Doors open at 5:30. Program starts at 6:15.
6:15. So there's still you can still
Seats are available.
attend. Yeah. So any information, we'll link it into our page and things like that. But I do want to talk a little bit. We've got a few more minutes, and then we'll probably just wrap up our show. But I did want to also talk a little bit about what's coming down the pipeline for both organizations in 2018. What things, like, what are your hopes and dreams for 2018 for your organizations, or just personally too? I think people are always curious about the people behind the work, and so yeah, if you want to share. Yeah, Zuli, you go first.
You first.
Kristen.
You're gonna go first.
Kristen, I'm gonna take the whole.
I'm gonna follow the leader.
Minutes.
I'm following the leader, girl.
All right, let me put my Toastmaster skills into play.
All right.
I got 2 minutes.
You
No.
promised us a song too, right?
Oh no, that was Stacey. That was you, Stacey. All right, don't try to push it on to me now. Gonna sing a blues soul music. You let us know. We'll put it on.
Hear me roar? No.
We could do that one.
Yeah, don't let
No.
us sing.
We could put a Beyonce one too.
Beyonce.
Women run the world. All right, so we're not going to be doing any singing tonight. Well, Stacey is towards the end. That's why everybody's still tuned. But a really great question, Jasmine. And, right now with the 2018 year, we actually are in the works because we have a full board of women that are right now thinking about what our main tasks are going to look like for the 2018 year. We are a task force, so we want to make sure that our work is intentional. And so we do want to let you all know that it is going to be, kind of very important around women development and some policy work as well. We're going to be working with our director of policy, Nikki Chan. Shout out to Nikki. But we will be doing some work around policy, women development. We don't have those just yet. They will be released in the 2018 year, and we will be letting you all know when those events are going to be taking place. But the Young Women's Task Force, we just hope within the 2018 year, where I've heard from them, we had a retreat in October. It was a 2-day retreat where we really went in depth, and we are going to be releasing that information very soon. But we do hope to be able to reach out much more than we had this past year. We're going to be tapping into different communities, including the universities. We want to make sure that as many voices are included into these conversations, and as well keeping in mind what does the 2018 year look like for us. And that will be a little bit more. I can't say too much because then my board is going to look at me and then be like, Zuli. But it will be released very soon. Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
We're going to be as well, be working with Mariah. We're going to be releasing our website page, so we're very excited. But just feel free to let us know any feedback, though, from people out there. Anything that you see that's very specific to Stockton that you feel like can be a task that we can put into play in the 2018 year. We have a great board, but we believe that there's a lot of different things that we can be doing. And I think with that feedback, we'll be able to be much more intentional than we can be. But yeah, my hopes and dreams and aspirations is pretty much for us to be able to continue to work together to make Stockton, it's already a great place from my point of view. There's always, though, a way that we can better it, though. And I do see that there's a lot of potential. And there's a shout out to anybody that's on the line. Please spread the word. Please let people know about this work. Even if you don't want to attend or an event or anything, but if you have a sister, a friend, you just let them know. Hey, there's these groups out there. Check them out. And I think that's how we'll be able to reach out to much more people within Stockton, because I feel like there's a lot of more miles that we're gonna be.
We still have a lot of work to do.
A lot of great work. But yeah, that's a little bit. I know it's not direct, but. Keep tuned for everybody that's out there. We will be releasing that.
There are some big goals I know that the task force has, and so we'll see. I need to go into my December hibernation and then come back in January. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm going to turn it over to
Stacey.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about the next step talk.
Yeah, you bet. I'll walk you through kind of the first quarter of what we've got planned for the Eleanor project next year. So we've got the event that's November 28th, the Changers. On March 8th, that's International Women's Day, we have the Remarkable Women of San Joaquin. And that event will take place at the Gem of Stockton, which is the Hagen Museum, and it will be a white glove event. And by that we mean it's going to be quite elegant, and but the white gloves are a play on not just the long white gloves of Tilly Lewis that we see in her famous picture, but also the white gloves of an archivist. And we are encouraging women to dig, and men, to dig through their keepsake boxes and pull out the photos and the news articles and the diaries and the documents that memorialize the achievement of women that they have in their own families, and bring them to the Hagen that evening and for possible submission into the archives there. We have Dr. Edie Sparks, who's the chair of the history department at the University of Pacific, who will be presenting on the Remarkable Women of San Joaquin County. That evening she'll be our keynote presenter, but it's going to be a fun evening, and I think we're going to have some good conversations and learn more about the women who have gone before us, and the organizations who have been headed by women who've done so many wonderful things for this community. I there are so many women who are involved in giving back to this community, and so many organizations that do that. But I think it's important to capture that information.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Sparks has the Hagen Museum partnering with the Delta Digital Project. It's a student-run group that will be there, sparking up conversations with all the participants to see if they can't learn of some stories, and then for further interviews with some of the participants at that event. So it should be a really fun evening, and I think the Hagen has been completely redone, and so everyone should want to come to see that as well. And I think there's going to be a special collection of Impressionist work at the Hagen. Then also, just like Mamma Mia is the backdrop for the Stockton Civic Theater performance, will be the backdrop to our TEP Talk on Tuesday.
Cool.
And one of the things the Eleanor Project does too, which I think is important to remember, is we've got all these women, young and established, that are driving, and so we have oxygen mask events. Because remember, ladies, while you're out there conquering the world, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can help others. So in February at Bella Vista,
I think so.
Women-owned and operated restaurant at the head of the channel here in Stockton. Fabulous. Rima Barquette, fabulous food. We'll be going there around Valentine's Day. Kristen, do you know the date?
It's an event. We just come together, relax. It's called Be Your Own Valentine.
Yeah.
Date's not required. So
right, date's not. But
wine
wine is always involved in the oxygen mask events, and I think what we did was decorate Valentine's cookies last year, and it was fun. We had a good time.
By another woman-owned operated business, Nicole Helmet from Three Little Birds, which is great. So
right.
Cool.
I was trying to
So
and noteworthy. Does everyone know that the Hagen Museum?
The Hagen Museum
was actually started by a woman. So I think a lot of folks don't know that, but her history is very deep and rich inside that. So it's really an exciting time.
Yeah. That's cool. I know. Constance Miller, there's like a small photo of her in the Hagen Museum, but I know her father's work is, I don't know if they still have it up, but Oxley Miller, he painted landscapes, and yeah, she was a really interesting woman. What I would give to speak with Constance Miller just about Stockton.
But if we
She's
had
an
her
interesting
documents,
woman.
which I think we do, you can just waltz right through it and feel like you're actually still there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Marion Jacobs compiled all of her letters I guess it's back in a couple decades ago now, but yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know if you've ever read them, the letters of Constance Miller. She wrote about all kinds of interesting things, just like the cherry blossoms and like just all kinds of random things.
We should actually, on our Facebook pages, actually put some of her letters on the Facebook page, because they are beautiful to read, and it really captures sort of the essence of what Stockton was like.
Yeah, through a woman's eyes.
From a woman's perspective. So I think we absolutely should do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, well, let's see. I guess my last question is, how can people contact you if they want to get involved with your organizations? What's the best way to reach you?
Well, I think the best way to reach us is through our website at theeleanorproject.com, or you can email us directly at hello@theeleanorproject.com.
Okay.
And we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But we just hope you show up on November 28th.
Yeah.
That's going to be an exciting night. It'll be a lot of fun.
There are still seats left, so if you do want to come out and learn about, was it 7? 7 amazing women and
7,
their stories.
And a few good men.
And a few good men. Definitely, you're welcome to join. It'll be a really fun event. I'm really excited about it.
I want to mention one last thing. We're actually going to launch, because you mentioned about Constance and capturing her voice, a program called Uncommon Voices. Barb Daly from Daily Video Services has created these wonderful videos, first on Beverly Fitch McCarthy, and now on Ann Chargan, the first female judge in San Joaquin County. And so we'll be unveiling her story Tuesday night. So join us for that.
That'll be awesome. All right, Zuli, how can people reach you?
All right. So for the Stockton Younger Women's Task Force, anybody can reach us through Facebook, but I know not everybody has Facebook. So you can as well email us at stocktonywtf@gmail.com, and feel free to send us an email, anything in terms of questions. We're more than happy to respond to you. Give us 24 hours. No, we'll respond as soon as we can. But just a special shout out to G Squared, as well to all the community members out there. I'm very excited to be here with all these great people here, and we're looking forward to seeing what 2018 brings up. But before we get to 2018, Tuesday, everybody, Tuesday. Tep Talk.
Super Tuesday. Be there, be
Super
square.
Talk. There's nowhere else you want to be in Stockton. You need to be at the Tep Talk. All right? Just letting you all know you have to be there. It's an amazing. It's not just because.
It's going to be a great venue, too. I'm really excited about that.
Jasmine will be on stage.
Me and Zuli will be on stage.
7 of our speakers.
Oh, we are?
Funny.
Sure.
We will see everybody that's here present, as well as to all the people that are hearing us. I know you all are going to be there now.
Yeah, you have to come.
Yes. So I know Stacey's doing her final shout out.
Right? She's going to do her singing.
Are you going to do your singing? That's what we've been waiting for.
All right. That's awesome. All right.
We'll do it on stage on November 28th. Okay, thanks, Stacey.
She's like, I'm going to
Dancing Queen. We're going to end with Dancing Queen.
That's awesome. All right. So our next show is actually going to feature 2 more amazing women, the women of Goodstock. They're going to be talking to us a little bit about their upcoming holiday market and all the amazing things that they've been working on. So join us for Amy Seifert and Ann Wilcox on our next show next week. 1 week from today at 7 p.m. Thank you so much to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, the whole crew. Donate and become a member today and help keep community voices on air. This KXVS is such a gem in our community. So go now and donate to voiceofstockton.org. I want to thank my guests, my amazing guests. You all are amazing, and we had a great time tonight kind of digging in all about your work. So, all right, our board operator is Dustin Breakbill. Our show music is by Polyrhythmics out of Portland. And that is all for tonight, folks. See y'all next week.